Hello family, welcome back to another YouTube video. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Lucy Brown. I truly do hope that you enjoy this video and the content as well. And if you do indeed, please do make sure that you consider becoming part of this family by hitting the subscribe button down below. Also, if you would like to be notified whenever I upload new, fresh, crispy content, please do make sure that you smash the notification bell down below. As you see from the title of the video, on today's video, I am specifically dedicating this video to my girlies, my sisters in Christ who have been and who are currently actually waiting on God for a spouse. And honestly, I have been having this conversation in circles outside of YouTube. And this is truly a subject and a topic that is very close at heart, because I think when you are married, it's so easy for you to think and to actually forget what it was like waiting on God for a spouse and all of those things. And I just truly want to speak to my sisters and that girl out there who's truly trusting and waiting on God in terms of, or in this area of their lives. I sympathize with you. If you want, that's obviously if you want sympathy. Some people are obviously gladly happy, but I'm thinking you're probably watching this video because you are truly expecting and waiting on God to come through for you in this department. So I truly from the bottom of my heart honestly get the frustrations that come with it, the joy that comes with it, because it's not always frustrating. There is a joy that comes with being single, right? And in this video I want to go through all of that and just to encourage you as well during the season of your life, and just share testimony with you guys as well of how I earnestly did wait on God in terms of a spouse and believed him for it, and that God truly did come through for me. So I want to go into the joys of being single, the frustrations of waiting on God and trusting God for a spouse, and my testimony as well. So let's get right into the video. I actually recall a time when I just received Christ, when I just got born again. Actually, when I just got born again for the 5th time, because that was not the first time I was receiving the Lord. Let me just say, when I truly earnestly dedicated my life to the Lord. Like, you know what I'm talking about. You know, when you got born again for the first time and then you went back to the worldly, to the things of the world, and then you came back the second time, regave your life again to Christ, because you didn't understand that when it happened, when it genuinely happened the first time, that it was a done deal. But that's a different topic for another day. When I rededicated my life to Christ, my then pastor, I was actually still in high school, my then pastor actually advised me that for now that I should just stay away from dating, stay away from boys, and just focus on my studies and focus on Christ, my journey with the Lord. And that's actually what I did. I told myself, you know what, I'm going to close my eyes from guys and just focus on my studies and my journey growing with the Lord. And obviously the elders around me at that time obviously also admonished me to stay away from boys and all of those things. So truly what he was asking of me was not out of the ordinary. So I embarked on that journey of just growing my relationship with Christ, growing my knowledge of Christ, and focusing on my studies at that time. And then after some time, I noticed that the conversations around me started to change. The conversations that I was having with people who were older than me were kind of hinting towards marriage and hinting towards relationships and all of those type of things. And that's truly where I got my cue that, oh, that means that it's now time for me to open my eyes, if I can put it in that way, to then be open to relationships. Besides that, I was such a late bloomer. I was so wet behind the ears, if I can say so myself. I didn't, even when guys would hit on me, it was nothing to me. It was truly nothing to me. I just thought in my head, I needed to to focus on Christ and focus on my relationship with God. And then transitioning to now, it's time for you to get married. You are about the right age to now start considering these type of things, was quite weird. And I feel like in Christianity, or let me rather say the type of Christianity I was exposed to in the corner of the world that I was at, did not know or struggled to communicate to the youth when it comes to such matters. It was all about get married, and if you are not yet at the age of getting married, then you should not find yourself in conversations about boys, about dating and all of that. So it was almost as if you told that, or actually you were told that do not entertain boys, do not entertain any sorts of conversations around boys and all of that, because you are not of age. And so you obey like a good child, and you close your mind off totally to all of those type of things. And then all of a sudden you're told now it's time. No conversations are had with you regarding equipping you for dating, or regarding preparing yourself, leading yourself up into marriage. And so you are in your middle 20s with really not much. So you're really going into this whole thing blindly. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what to require. So it can really be a whole lot. And so there I was being told, being hinted at that, girl, it's about time. Like, it's about time. And so I thought to myself, oh, okay, it's about time. Obviously I knew that this point would get eventually, that this time would come where I just need to, that I get married, have kids and all of those beautiful things and etc. And I thought to myself, oh, this is gonna be so easy and so quick at this age. I'm gonna be married at this age. I'm gonna be happily married, planning for kids and all of those things. I thought it was going to be an easy process, because in my head it was obvious for me. I knew very well that there was no way that I was going to get married to a person who was not born again. That was just non-negotiable for me. So I thought to myself, and so there I was thinking that my soon or my future husband obviously would be a person who's coming from church, and that if he's obviously coming from church, I'm gonna get married easy, like the first guy that comes along, meets the requirements, that obviously is love God, be active in church and all of those things that really were important for me and were things that I was doing already at church. I thought to myself, then that's an easy thing to do. Little did I know that even in the process of getting to know a person in hopes of getting married to them inside of the church was going to take me years till I finally meet my now spouse. And that was a reality that kicked in later on. At the beginning and for the most part of it, I truly did enjoy being single. Until it obviously got to a point where I just started getting tired of it, and I could feel that, and I truly wanted now a companion to share the experiences that I had with the Lord and to share my life with. And when that was not happening, that's when the frustrations started to kick in. And the frustrations started to kick in when I soon realized that what I truly desired and wanted out of a potential partner it actually seemed as if it was too much to ask for. It almost felt as if, yes, I'm meeting guys and guys are asking me out, but God, this is not the type of person that I want to settle with. So I started feeling as if maybe there's something wrong with me, that maybe I'm the problem, because it can't be that majority of the people that I'm meeting are just not truly what I desire. Or either number two, what I'm asking for just truly does not exist. But at the same time, I'm like, but it can't be that it does not exist, because here I am, the things that I'm asking for, I believed that I was. And so I believed that, but God, if there's a type of person that is on this planet that is like me, surely there must be a second person or a person of the opposite sex that has the qualities that I possess as well and that I require out of them. down to even thinking that maybe this is just not going to happen. Maybe this spouse that I truly desire is just not going to come, just because I just felt like God was taking so long to answer my prayer. And because it was taking so long, it started to weigh in on me to a point where I started to idolize marriage. I started to idolize the idea of being married, and truly that is where the danger is. And I feel like it can be so easy as a single to fall into this trap. And so there I was in this trap where I was so filled with frustration. Yes, at the beginning I enjoyed, my singleness and I glorified God, but that's because at the beginning I had a time frame that at this time that I'd be married. So when I was fast approaching that time, and everything around me, the prospects, the possible potential partners, it was just not lining up. That's where the frustration came in. And when I started to idolize marriage, I just never enjoyed anything about being single. Everything in my head, in my being, in my mind, in my thoughts was literally about marriage. I didn't enjoy singleness, and I frankly did not see any reason why my singleness should even bring glory to God, because I just felt like, but God, you know my heart's desires, and I just don't like this anymore. So won't you just quicken the process? And so I was putting myself out there more than I would have, because now my mind was just marriage. I was going to events, not because maybe I enjoyed or I thought that there was something that I'd received from God in those events, in those Christian events. I was going there because I thought to myself, what if I'm going to meet my potential partner there, and all of those things. And this is not to say altogether that putting yourself out there is wrong, and that going to events with I don't know. But for me, what it was doing for me, I knew very well that it was not healthy. And it was beginning to give desperate vibes. And one thing, once you are in a place where you are desperate, even if you are offered something that's really not it, or something that you know very well is something that you don't want, but because you are desperate, you are just accepting. You just accept because someone told you what they want to marry you, so you decide to be in a relationship with this person, knowing very well that this is not the type of person that I asked from the Lord, or this is not the type of person I truly do want to settle down with. But because the moment he says marriage, your mind just goes, and because that's really what I was desperate, I accepted, and I got myself into a relationship with a person that I knew very well was not what I required from the Lord. And listen, it was not worth it. I actually remember calling up my cousin, because I was now in this relationship, and calling my cousin, and month one, guys, it was hectic. It was hectic a month. I remember calling up my cousin and telling her, I'm in this relationship. Yes, this person doesn't necessarily meet the requirements and meet the stuff that I truly had prayed to the Lord about, but hey, I'm here now. And I just remember telling her that I can't go on like this. And I remember my cousin just saying to me that, no, stick it up, because I really did not have any relationship experience. My cousin said to me, stick it up, just so that by the time you end things, you don't have any sort of regret. And so I stuck it up for a couple of months in the name of, let me just gain the experience, and in the name of, I didn't want to seem as if I just give up on everything and all of those type of things. But deep down inside, guys, I knew very well that I had no business being in this relationship, because it's not truly what I had prayed for. And I truly got myself into the situation and truly got myself into the relationship because I was desperate. And so when I got out of that situation, I just remember thinking to myself that I can't go on like this. This is just getting dangerous for me, and if I continue going on like this, I'm gonna get hurt. So I made a decision from there onwards that I was just not going to entertain any sort of guy, and I needed to just get myself back into tune with God. What's your purpose with my life? Because your purpose with my life will be true whether I'm married or not. So I had made a decision from there onwards that, you know what, God, I'm just going to serve you and focus on you. I just remember thinking to myself that I just want to do things God's way. And I remember thinking to myself that I'm gonna start on a clean slate. I'm gonna do things God's way. And if it's not God's way, then I'd rather not have it. I'd rather then settle with never getting married again in my life than taking the route of just accepting things because I'm desperate, because I had placed myself in this place, because I'm the one who actually had placed a time limit for God of when he should, bring about this person, of when I should get married. And those same things, those time frames that I had placed for God, not God, I had placed them for God, were beginning to frustrate me. So I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to do this God's way. And if it's not God's way, then let me just rest in him and rest in the thought that he knows what's best for me, and that he knows my heart's desires, and that he would not withhold and keep something away from me, whereas he knew very well or knows that it would be good for me. So I just figured that, you know what, if it's not here now, then probably it's just not the right time. And so I embarked or re-embarked on the journey of, just enjoying my relationship with the Lord, enjoying my singleness in the Lord. And people around me would normally ask me, why aren't you dating? There's so many people that are potentials according to them, who would ask me out, why? And I just remember when I gave people answers of why I wasn't dating, they'd literally laugh in my face. I remember someone actually saying to me and laughing and saying to me that, are you waiting for an angel from heaven to come down? Because people actually just thought that you were just looking for perfection, and it truly was not perfection that I was looking for. And I had to keep reminding myself of why I was on this path, because yes, people would come that were quite persuasive, potential, or should I call them potentials, or people were just asking me out, and I had to keep reminding myself of why I was on this path. And even though people at times would ridicule me and be like, you're asking for too much, or the type of person that you want does not exist, when you die alone, you'll spend the rest of your life alone, and all of those things, I had to constantly pray about it and remind myself that, you know what, God is faithful, and God's desires for my life are above and beyond what I could ever desire for my own self. I had to constantly circle and bring myself back to that place of reminding myself that I have a Father who loves me and cares for me dearly. So I know if you are a single lady, Christian lady watching this video, and you're just trusting God for your spouse, all of these things that I mentioned, I'm sure you've been through them. The phase of enjoying your relationship with Christ, the phase of the frustrations that come along with being single and having to endure all of that, the irritation that comes with married people, or people just in general having a comment on you still being single or you not being married, and all of those things. I truly do get the phases that come with the waiting stage. If there's anything that you're truly gonna take out of this video, is this right here. In as much as the waiting stage, waiting on God, might not be easy, but truly, what's truly important during this waiting season is what you are doing during this waiting season. It makes no sense for you to be in a waiting season and yet you're still wasting your time with people that you know very well aren't going to lead you to marriage, and people that you know very well are flings or things that are just going to end right here. What you do in and during your waiting season is very important. Do not find yourself in a place where you're wasting away your life just because you're waiting for this one area in your life to go right or to finally be answered. Do not find yourself wasting your time and your energy to a point where your whole world is now at a standstill because you're just waiting for this spouse, this kingdom spouse, so you guys call it. And take it from someone who has been there. I truly do know what I'm talking about, where, as I mentioned, you're idolizing, you're obsessed over this thing so much that your whole world, your whole mind, everything is literally centered around having a husband. The Apostle Paul puts it in this way. He says that I'd rather advise you to be single. And he says this because of what you can do during your single time, what you can do during your waiting season or during your waiting time up until God answers this prayer. He talks about devoting your life to Christ, devoting your everything, your whole life, your entire life to Christ, because you don't have the cares of the world or the cares of your spouse that a married person does. And I think we can take so much of encouragement from that. When you are single, you don't have to have the cares of the world. You don't have to have the cares of a spouse with you. At times I do feel like when we are in that waiting season, we can take up the cares of having a spouse in our mind to a point that it even affects our service and our devotion to the Lord, because our minds and our everything is preoccupied on the thought of just getting a spouse. So I think we truly can take encouragement in saying, for now, where I am at in my life right now, because I don't have a spouse as yet, where I am at right now, I'm going to choose to fully and completely devote my life to Christ. I'm going to choose to do things in God's way. I'm going to dedicate my life to Christ. And when the person, and should the person come, that's when I can then go all out in terms of being extravagant, of wifely duties and all of those things. Don't get hung up in waiting for a person where your service to the Lord is on a standstill, or you're no longer enjoying your service towards the Lord because you just want this one prayer answered. Don't get hung up in that phase. Enjoy your service to the Lord, and when your spouse finally comes, and if he comes again, and I'll touch a little bit on that, when your spouse and if your spouse does finally come, let them find you being busy with the work of the Lord. If anything, when I look back, guys, and I say this in all honesty, I am so grateful for my season of singleness, my season of waiting, and what I got to do during that time. I almost feel to a certain extent that the work that I was doing spiritually at that time has built a foundation for my spiritual life today. So don't be found in a stage where because you are waiting for your spouse, that you're neglecting your spiritual growth, and that you're neglecting your zeal towards the house of the Lord, or your zeal towards the things of the Lord. I am so grateful that yes, there was a time, and years, actually it was years, where I was obsessing and wasting my time overthinking about a spouse, and a spouse must come and all of that, and to a point where I no longer enjoyed my work and my devotion to the Lord. When I did get to a place, or get back to a place where I reminded myself of what truly was important, and that's truly our relationship with the Lord, the work that I got to do in that season has built my character to the woman that I am today. So remain hopeful, remain prayerful for your spouse and for the Lord answering your prayer. But do all of this in Him and earnestly in Him. And remain trusting that the Lord can come through for you. And so for me today, I am so blessed, and I don't take it for granted that today that I'm recording this video and that I'm speaking of my testimony, that God did indeed come through for me. And privileged, should I say, I was blessed enough that God did fulfill or bring about marriage at the time frame that I had asked Him to bring it at. And I don't want to be quoted on that. And the reason why I don't want to be quoted on that is that at times, guys, we can't place rules and standards and time frames for God, and when he does not follow those rules or those time frames or those standards, then all of a sudden we get angry at him. I think it's a beautiful thing to tell God and to be honest with God about the things you want, how you want them, the time frame, but at the core of your heart, you should always remember that he is God. He has the power of choosing of whether he's going to fulfill it or not. He's all knowing, and he knows when to fulfill things at the right time in our lives, right? And so I don't want you to be hung up so much in the fact that God specifically fulfilled and brought about my spouse and I got married at the exact age that I requested. But that's to say, God truly did come through for me, and that's my testimony. I do not take that for granted. My husband, that is my answered prayer from God right there, and I'm truly so thankful and so blessed, to say the least. When I look back, I'm so thankful to God for just trusting him with this process, and that he knows my life, he knows me very well, because truly trusting God does pay off. Obedience, guys, obedience to God does pay off at the end, and doing things God's way, keyword God's way, doing things God's way does truly pay off at the end. But there's something that I just want to leave you with, and that's just I was actually listening to something. It was actually a sermon by this woman, and she said something, and I thought to myself, it's so remarkable, and I truly do want to leave you with this. And this is something that had crossed my mind back in the past when I was still single, and thinking to myself, is God even going to fulfill this request of mine? And this woman is obviously of age, and she's still trusting in God for a spouse. And she says that, yes, it's hard trusting in God, and it may be difficult at times, but she says that I know that God's plans for me exceeds whatever I could ever desire for myself, as I previously said. But she says that even if God does not bring about the spouse, he still remains God. And I thought to myself, wow. She said, even if God does not bring about the spouse, he is still God. Yes, I had desires to have kids and be a mother one day, but I am at an age where the possibilities of me having kids are quite slim, or they're actually decreasing, they're actually going down. And she says that, but I will not then try and fulfill my desires out of his will, i.e. that she was not going to then go and try and have a child out of wedlock because she just wanted to be a mother, because God was just not bringing about the right spouse or bringing about a spouse. And I thought to myself, that is so profound. And that's truly something that I want to leave you with, that guys, we have desires, and yes, we're trusting on God, and we trust God for so many things in our lives. And I'll ask the question that does God's purpose for our lives change when we get married? Or does God's purpose for our lives varies whether we are married or not, whether we have kids or not? And that's not me trying to invalidate the desires that we have, but that's to say that in our heart and in our mind, in our beings, may it be God's plans above our plans, or God's plans above our desires. And that's to say, if God doesn't bring about that spouse, will you still consider God a faithful God? And would you still consider him faithful and worthy of your praise, worthy of your obedience, and worthy of your devotion and your sacrifice and your service towards him? And that's a question you need to ask yourself. And it should not now get you in doubt or anything like that, but that's just to say, in everything that we request, in everything we plan, in everything we desire, whether God decides, he's all-knowing and it's all up to him at the end of the day, whether God decides to fulfill our desires or not, he is still worthy of the praise. He is still God nonetheless. Well, guys, I think I'm gonna end it here. I hope that to you that's watching this, that you are encouraged to just continue waiting and trusting and hoping on and in the Lord, at the end, it's going to end. It's going to end in joy. Whether it ends in God answering your prayer or not, at the end of the day, glorify God. If God chooses not to bring about the spouse or not to bring about whatever prayer request that you're hoping for, don't then go and be Abraham and try and make an Ishmael. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if God truly did promise it and say it to you that he's going to bring about the spouse, Isaac will come. So just trusting God, hoping God, continue praying God, and even in your singleness, guys, glorify God. Single, married, child, without child, finances, God, finances popping, finances struggling, jobless. Choose to glorify God with your entire being. Thank you so much for watching this video. If I have not mentioned this, please do make sure that you like the video so that YouTube can also recommend this video to other people who are like you and me, or who were like me as well, who need this type of encouragement during the season in their lives. Please do make sure that you leave a comment and tell me, what did you think of this video? Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button down below. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload fresh, new, crispy content, please also make sure that you smash the notification bell down below. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.